in New York, in New York, in New York, New York.
Now, clearly, it really irritates my soul when people really to this day still don't know why R. Kelly was charged in New York. But I told you long time ago. Dana told you as well, but guess what? Dana's a liar, and I had to be an enemy because you had certain individuals that want so badly to keep pushing the narrative that R. Kelly allowed these individuals to do the stuff they were doing to help him, even though we saw how much help it gave him. Now, obviously, I don't watch people's rebuttal when I clearly have told you that individuals are here as mere distractions from keeping you from using some common sense. Now, as I said, I've already stated, just like Dana stated, exactly why R. Kelly had a trial in New York. Even though you read over the indictments, you see the problems with trying to act like there's a 10-year history of these predicate acts when there's so many time gaps, and people want to bypass why there was a trial in New York in the first damn place because they wanted to get their shits and giggles on these platforms, going at all the wrong people instead of focusing on the information that was in the paperwork, looking at how these people are moving on these platforms and applying that common sense to why a person like me can read the paperwork, watch the movements, look at all the way the media is spinning these stories, and come back and get the last laugh at all them people who stood up here and ignored all the warnings I gave, as people want to keep pushing this narrative that R. Kelly authorized all this shit we saw on display. Now, you can believe he did if you want to, but again, ain't no need in saying free R. Kelly if you believe that. Now catch that. Cause I stand on 10 when I say I don't believe it at all. Now, I originally started this video with this clip, but YouTube is tripping. So you're going to have to go and search this video on the real daytime. And it was Lisa Van Allen's theory on this threat that initiated a lot when it came to the New York investigation against Robert Kelly. Now, people can hold on to the hopes that people were doing things with good intentions, yet it doesn't change the fact that laws were broken on many sides, but unfortunately only one person took the fall as the head of this RICO enterprise. Stay tuned as I make this make sense, because even if you didn't want to read the paperwork, you could have just read some of these articles and looked at the things that we saw on public display to realize that even the person, Lisa Van Allen, was established in court as a liar as she was back in 2008. Welcome to Prima Donna News, where I'll be giving you all of my commentary regarding all of the trending topics that I find interesting, as well as break through all the propaganda surrounding Robert Sylvester Kelly. If you haven't already, make sure you check your notifications to make sure they're set on all. That way you're not missing any of my uploads. Make sure you like this video, share it, and subscribe if you haven't already.
I don't need a light to get it poppin', but these bitches in my business cut me out to choosing violence. If you see me out in public, you don't know me, keep it silent. In the bedroom, I be screaming, but outside I keep it quiet. You know I'll stay on.
Now, in order to understand all that we see unfolding now, even with the entertainment industry, we have to look back at all the things that we saw put on public display, from all of the accusations to all of the productions that were produced to all of the stories that gave people these platforms to run with all the narratives that made R. Kelly seem to be some type of predator on children. Yet when it came to the case at hand, let's think about, were there any children involved as they like to portray? And let's not also skip over the fact that with a RICO, the prosecutors were supposed to establish this 10-year history pattern, right? Now let's just say you didn't go get the paperwork and you just followed the articles. Even before and after, it'll give you the template to start forming your research to validate your opinions. Now, according to what is put out there, R. Kelly was sentenced based on the conviction of illegal sex with minors, sexual exploitation of minors, bribery, coercion, and forced labor. The objective of the prosecutors was to lay down this foundation that R. Kelly used his fame, fortune, and enablers to prey on young girls, the vulnerable, and the voiceless for his own sexual gratification, which many turn a blind eye to. Now let's just keep that as a footnote because people keep asking, how can one man be convicted of this RICO? Well, they didn't have to indict any of their alleged co-conspirators when they give them this cloud of acting like they were just doing their job, that they were just following orders, which again was a big red flag to me considering any RICO I've ever seen. If people are out here engaging in criminal activities, guess what? They're getting indicted. Now, if they strike a plea deal in between, then that's something different than this bullshit we saw with R. Kelly. Nonetheless, according to the prosecutors, R. Kelly is a prolific serial predator who utilized his wealth and fame to prey on these children. For nearly 30 years, Kelly and his accomplices silenced his victims through bribery, intimidation, blackmail, and physical violence. Confident they were immune to justice, stated Homeland Security. Now, according to this article, as proven at trial, they say, for nearly 3 decades, Kelly was the leader of a criminal enterprise, the enterprise consisting of himself and an entourage of individuals who served as managers, bodyguards, accountants, drivers, personal assistants, and runners for the defendant. As the leader of the enterprise, Kelly used his fame to recruit women and girls to engage in illegal sexual activity with him. Kelly identified these girls and women at concerts and then directed members of the enterprise to escort them backstage following his musical performances. Now, let's not leave out the fact that you were supposed to be 18 and up to attend these concerts, number one. Number two, their witness who facilitated this bribery charge said long ago that after the whole Aaliyah debacle, R. Kelly was not permitted to work with underage girls. Yet, these people were able to establish this pattern based on people like Cheryl Mack and others who were more incentivized to try to manage people's career, so that would be more motive for me to bring these people around and give the impression that certain things was going on in which people could not prove beyond reasonable doubt. But that's just my little extra side note because, again, we all know that I have had the right to remain vigilant in the fact that I can give reasonable doubt, read both sides of the paperwork, not just the prosecutors, observe what's going on, and come to the conclusion that the prosecutors were painting. And that's just as I said. All these people that were out here doing stuff as though R. Kelly has sent them out here or solicited them to do so, even when it came to allegedly harassing victims, etc., etc., I clearly stand vigilant in the fact that all the stuff these people were doing, not my business to dwell or to try to overanalyze the intent. But what we ain't gonna do is let people document bullshit in their whole presentation when they play these little games. The evidence at trial included the testimony of 45 government witnesses, including more than 10 victims, 5 of whom are named in the superseding indictment, testimony from employees of the defendant, which would make up their so-called enterprise, right? Yet the flaw when you observe the overall picture they're trying to paint is the absence of a whole lot of other people that they put in this illusion of an enterprise when they say managers, bus drivers, bodyguards, etc., etc. But that's just a side note, because they also claim to have presented the text messages only one-sided. video and audio recordings only one-sided, photographs that didn't prove shit, phone and travel records that still didn't prove shit, DNA evidence, I must have missed that, and expert witnesses. Now let's back it up because the DNA evidence that we heard about was some bullshit on top of bullshit. Who would believe a so-called accuser had some evidence back in 2009, kept that evidence, was given that evidence back after submitting that evidence, held on to it years and years later and resubmitted that same evidence? Now, when it comes to expert witnesses, the fact that they didn't go get this man's official doctor, they didn't bring in none of the accuser's doctors. They only presented one-sided circumstantial evidence. So, of course, people will want to look at it as though they proved their case. But did they really?
If he wasn't guilty, I don't think he would have been found guilty. That's just how I see it. They found him guilty.
Anywho, we already established why they needed Azriel Clary, aka Jane, number 5, to make all of this stick. Because again, let's look at these charges that made up their so-called racketeering. That would be count 1 with the bribery, which we know he had nothing to do with, yet guess what? Who got the charge? Kelly bribed a state employee to create an identification card for Jane number 1 because he believed she was pregnant and therefore the marriage could keep him out of jail. That is speculation. I don't believe R. Kelly ever said that. Aaliyah never said that. There was no evidence to substantiate that. But again, the propaganda. Racketeering Acts 2, 7, and 10. Actual exploitation of a child. Brought in Jane number 2, Jane number 4, and Jane number 5. But let's think about the time frame in this. This was between the 90s and 2004, 2009. Kelly coerced Jane number 2, Jane number 4, and Jane number 5 to engage in sexually explicit conduct for the purposes of producing video recordings. But why didn't they have the security footage to back up these so-called recordings, I wonder? Over a course of decades, he made these recordings and other recordings of actual explicit conduct using VHS video cameras, Canon camcorders, iPhones, and iPads. Such videos constituted child pornography. Yet, where was that evidence submitted in the trial? Racketeering Act 6, 11, and 13, forced labor. So we're going to double back and say that these people were forced into alleged prostitution. But again, if Diddy was not trafficking these people, why can we say R. Kelly was? Oh, that's right, because we want to keep giving this illusion of them being minors, despite the fact that they're going back in the 90s and early 2000s to manufacture the fact that a lot of these people were deceptive with their age. A lot of these people, in my opinion, were dealing with outside individuals and had other motivating factors, such as being taken to an individual named Susan Logans, who was also missing during the trial, if they really wanted to build this so-called history of bad acts. So again, if you look at all those counts up until this point, these, in my opinion, was just padding this case, because what they really wanted was Jane Doe number 5, and that is count 8, 13, and 14 Mann Act violations, in which we already know who Jane number 5 was. Now, to add ice into the Mann Act violations, then we bring in the STD allegations, and again, it would have been more solid to have his medical records, his doctor, and not some janky guy that was passing out concert tickets, who obviously should have been charged for his criminal activity, but was given the pass to get on this stage because they needed his janky ass testimony. Now, just a side note, if you go and look up these articles, you will notice the next red flag that stood out to me. Not only were the enterprise not being indicted, but then you have the fact that they're giving you these time frames. They don't give you specific dates in which a person could build a solid alibi and clearly defend the allegations. They tell you about this security footage and give the illusion that people were running out trying to escape, and skip the next point that I've always made. Why didn't they have the security footage for all of this alleged abuse? Now, with that said, we know the next person, who was Faith, who claimed she was given herpes as well. Again, if a person comes out here and tells us that they sent this to this individual, we saw all of these people stirring the pot with these individuals, from her mother, and other people that grace the YouTube platforms. It should be obvious why people with common sense side-eyed all these individuals in these indictments.
So, yes, I did have sex with Bubba as well. No, we did not have a threesome, but me and Bubba had another relationship outside of Rob.
Now, maybe people didn't like the common sense in what I obviously said, but clearly, why would you need to try to sue a person from a fan club when you have all the information, according to some who's following the muscle, to free R. Kelly from all of the accusations that surrounded this person? Why would you try to sue this person when you have put together this grand production in trying to vindicate this man? I'm sorry. Everybody that did everything they was out here doing did it for a good cause. They was just trying to help R. Kelly, and never mind me saying this shit is stupid.
R. Kelly didn't buy Faith Rogers' first car. Kelly and Charles Rogers did.
He only bought the two girls'
You know what he
breasts.
tried to give her? He tried to give her herpes. That's what he gave her.
Yes, he did.
That's what he gave her.
Yes, he did.
And no, and stop saying she got genital herpes. She does not. But it don't matter.
Right.
He exposed her. He
Right.
tried to give it to her.
Right.
He exposed her.
Right. Yes, he did.
And no, and stop saying she got genital herpes. She does not. But it don't matter.
Right.
He exposed her. He
Right.
tried to give it to her.
Right.
He exposed her.
See, they can say what they want to say about my collages, but trust and believe me, I know what the heck I got going on over here. What they should have been doing is trying to figure out why they couldn't make this shit make sense. Because what I'm showing you is how stupid this whole case was, that they were able to manufacture and give this facade that this man was running this criminal enterprise while all these people out here enterprising his brand. I can't make this shit up. How the hell you get convicted of exposure when this lady on the internet telling people he tried to give it to her, and nobody comprehend why I say something about the medical records? I clearly demonstrated that I saw more fraud and corruption than anything. Yet in order to break through these indictments and all the propaganda, in order to see past all of these people who came out volunteering information, don't take a genius to recognize it didn't take trying to flash my boobies to no government witness just to come to the conclusion that regardless of what he got on that stand and testified to, the point was the charge they were trying to contribute to Robert Kelly. So with that being said, how many geniuses does it take to realize that we all know that R. Kelly didn't bribe an official, and their witness testimony is all over the place? All of these bad act witnesses had testimonies all over the place, yet people ignore how one led right to the next.
That's crazy that he knows your number by heart.
He called for me.
That's the only reason why I'm here. Nicole linked up with me. That's why I'm here. Other than that, for the past 10 years, I've been to myself. I've been running my business. I've been doing the shit that I had to do. I have not been involved with any of this shit.
As a video of me, he made me do this video actually of me doing a number 2 in a cup and then eating it out of the cup.
So this is for whoever thought they was doing something by posting my story on the Shade Room and screenshotting it. Okay, first of all, I've always had a fucking phone, so I don't get it where people think, oh my gosh, she has a phone, wow. No, I've always had a phone. Just because my parents put it out there that I don't have a phone, that's them. I don't talk to my parents. I'm not in communication with my parents, and I don't want to talk to my parents. I'm a grown-ass woman, 21, about to be 22. And if I don't want to talk to my parents, I don't have to talk to my parents. I don't have to talk to nobody in this fucking world if I don't want to.
Like I said, it was very obvious to me how the prosecutors were building this case. So to try to put out there that I was working with the feds and doing this and doing that because people couldn't see my vision and all the interference that was needed in order to facilitate this narrative that the prosecutors were presenting. It don't take a genius to recognize also why a lot of people out here nervous because of all of the double standards and hypocrisies that they put on display just solidified my position when it came to standing with Robert Kelly, period. Now only time will tell. Will the real work be put into vindicating Robert Sylvester Kelly? Or will we see people continue to turn a blind eye to all the corruption that was allowed to take place in order to get these bad act witnesses to cooperate, considering, as I hinted throughout the video, the evidence, all these witnesses and all this stuff that they claim was proven in court, it ain't proved shit in my book, but hey, that's just my opinion.
The time has come for this cookie! Nom 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 nom. Oh, nom 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 nom. Ha. Bye-bye.
Something good.